Wham bam. Thank you, ma'am. Good morning. How you doing, everybody? It's Thursday, January 22nd, 2026. Yes, we were off yesterday, and yes, there hasn't been the normal 4 o'clock upload because, I've been tooting around, taking care of some other stuff. Long and short of it, we had a big interview yesterday that I wanted to make sure we were all plumb level and square about, how things go. But, hey, you know what? Whoopsie poopsie. If things really shake out, then we're just going to have to kind of bear with me while we do a complete overhaul of the show. But we will cross those I's and dot those T's when we get to that burning bridge. First and foremost today, guys, we have a lot of deals going on over at Palmetto State Armory. Clearly, you can see what I was doing while we waited for the show to load. Hang on, here we go. NFL Coaching Carousel winners and losers. The Giants nail the Harbaugh hire. Bills stumble through McDermott's exit. And, look, dude, I don't think I've ever seen this many coaches get let go, let alone interviews in my lifetime in a single season. It's absolutely bananas, dude. And, not for nothing. All I'm saying is, we were all high on Mike McDaniel. Everyone was real high on Mike McDaniel. I got this feeling, man. I got a feeling that Mike McDaniel went into these interviews and the GMs or like the Detroit Lions, the coaching staff in place was like, I got a feeling that boy ain't right. And they just were like, there's being weird. Then there's having the goofiest show on grass. And then there's just being absolutely bananas. All I'm saying is that, at one point, Mike Martz was a genius. But the razor's edge between genius and madman. And, look, I just think maybe Mike McDaniel just came across a little too weird. For people. And, was anybody really clamoring for the Chargers offensive coordinator spot? I don't know. There's weapons there, but wouldn't have been my desired landing spot. But we'll take a look at what CBS Sports has to say for us this morning. I want to make sure we're zoomed in. Okay, yeah, I know this sounds weird, guys, but I'm an old guy. And I need to keep the zoom in on the words because I can't read the text. It's too small when it's at 100%, so we zoom it into 125 for my viewing pleasure and yours at home. We will then briefly skim through the AP NFL Award Finalists. They're good names. Does Aiden Hutchinson really deserve to be in the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year conversation? That ain't taking nothing away from Aiden Hutchinson. I like Aiden Hutchinson. All right. But when you think defensive MVP, we talk about play after play after play. I'm not saying Hutch had a bad year. It just, look, I had a hard time getting him across the finish line for a Pro Bowl without having 14 sacks. He had 14 and a half sacks. That's great. But was he really changing games around that much? Honestly, I would say when you look at the metrics, Jack Campbell was named to All-Pro. So wouldn't you think Jack Campbell should be in that conversation of Defensive Player of the Year? So more so than Aiden Hutchinson. We'll discuss. We'll skim through it real quick. Then keeping it with the NFC North, obviously, people kind of... The name. And it just this situation with Brian Flores kind of shows hand in hand. Strangely enough, a connection to Miami between him and Mike McDaniel. Then maybe we don't know. Maybe we don't know what we're talking about. maybe all of us who don't work in the NFL, who are Monday morning quarterbacks, Yeah, maybe we don't know what the hell we're talking about, right? Because Brian Flores, the name, the guy, the name, the guy, right? Mike McDaniel, the name, the guy. Everybody wanted him. Well, defensive coordinator Brian Flores signs contract extension with the Vikings. This happened later last night, about 8:30 or 7:30 at night. So Brian Flores looks like he's going to be staying as the DC for Minnesota. That sucks for the Lions. I hate playing against Brian Flores' Vikings and that dirty, greasy Andrew Van Stinkle. But it just kind of goes to show you that maybe we don't know what we're talking. Maybe we don't know ball all that well. Speaking of not knowing ball all that well, Amon-Ra St. Brown talks new Lions offensive coordinator and calls out the haters. Amon-Ra St. Brown talked about Lions offensive coordinator Drew Lil Spud Petzing and had a strong message for hating fans. We will discuss that and much more if we got time. Maybe we'll shop around on PSA, just kind of see what's popping up there, if there's any good deals. Wambo, Bambo, we're eating Hambo. That doesn't make any sense. But if you could do me a solid, guys, would you mind subscribing to the channel if you're new here? It's the only way to engage in the chat. Ring that notification bell so you can be notified every single time we go live. For now, at least Monday through Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. I really hope I did well in this interview yesterday. Slap like on the video if you enjoy what we do here. If you're watching afterwards, comment down below. If whether you're watching now or watching later, the number one thing you can do to help us grow is share this video around with all your friends. Real quick, right now, guys, most of you are on mobile. Just hit the share button and copy it down on your clipboard, right? You really don't have to admit to people that you're a fan of the Hat and Beard Show. I totally understand it. I don't necessarily tell people that often that I even do this. So, now that that's all out of the way, guys, let's go ahead and get into the show.
If you can say the word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well, then hell, you still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, and go out on the attack.
Shout out y'all in the chat. Judas Mazaway hanging out. American Boxer, there is a push in the NFL to put Aiden Hutchinson and Jahmyr Gibbs in the celebrity status. Yeah, you noticed that, American Boxer. I've kind of noticed that Jahmyr Gibbs gets a lot of hype whenever he goes out to any type of event. But it is what it is. Not easy. I had to retire from sleeping. Oh, that's brutal, dude. That is absolutely brutal. Good morning, Manhattan. It's a beautiful day in the polar vortex. Yeah, it is 18. Actually, guys, let us be joyous here in Michigan. It's a balmy 18 degrees out. It's going to be one of the warmer days for the next week here. So enjoy it while you can. My furnace can't keep the house when it hits single digits like that. My furnace can't keep the house above 61 degrees. So it just runs and runs and runs and runs and runs and runs. Even when I got it set at like 60, it still just hammers and hammers and hammers. So you know what it is. What's up, Brent DeWitt? Good to see everybody hanging out. Just so you know, you guys, if you want to engage in the chat with the rest of Mad Hatter Nation, all you got to do, subscribe to the channel. You wait 60 seconds from the moment you subscribe to the channel, and then you can be part of Mad Hatter Nation. Hang out and engage with all these scallywags hanging out on a Thursday morning. NFL coaching carousel winners and losers. Let's talk a little bit about it. Big winner. Fried chicken dinner. New York Giants acted quickly and aggressively to land the top available coach of this hiring cycle, finalizing a 5-year deal with former Baltimore Ravens coach John Harbaugh before he could take planned meetings with Tennessee and Atlanta. As we wrote last week, Harbaugh should bring immediate stability and competence to a Giants organization that has desperately needed both for at least the past decade. Cycling through coach after coach and disappointment after disappointment, Harbaugh should also bring over a strong staff of assistant coaches, and the Giants will be better for having hired him. I could not agree more. I thought whoever nailed the Harbaugh hiring was going to be infinitely farther ahead than where they were at the end of this offseason. Personally, I kind of was like, why don't you just go to Miami and enjoy the, no income tax and the sunny weather? But you know what, John Harbaugh? You go ahead. You and your brother clearly love being in liberal shitholes. You love being grossly overtaxed. Enjoy that. You just go ahead and enjoy that, bud. Big loser. Butt toozer? I don't know, man. The Bills' decision to fire Sean McDermott. What the hell's going on here? Fire Sean McDermott in the wake of the divisional round loss to the Denver Broncos is somewhat understandable if you have your head 7 miles up your ass. It has been 9 years of McDermott era and 7 of McDermott and Josh Allen, and they have yet to achieve their Super Bowl goals. Because in Buffalo, the high watermark is just appearing in the Super Bowl. McDermott might not have been the issue standing in Buffalo's way, but teams can only make changes in so many ways, and swapping out the coach is one of them, right? Because Brandon Beane somehow convinced people that he was the big brain. The Bills land here less because of the firing itself and more because they elevated Brandon Beane to an even more powerful role, despite his proceeding over a roster that has backslid over the past several years. I completely agree with that. If it weren't for Sean McDermott and Josh Allen and some Herculean efforts from flash-in-the-pan one-year defensive players like a Matt Milano who's fallen off, you know what I mean? Von Miller had a couple of last-stitched really good years in Buffalo. If it weren't for these guys, right, making these just monumental plays time and time again, Sean McDermott doing everything he possibly can, despite being left with, a trash can with a bow on it called Josh Allen, still a perennial playoff team. But Brandon Beane, hey man, you know what? This just goes to show you that people get promoted to their level of incompetence. And Brandon Beane's going to continue to ignite the Buffalo Bills organization aflame. And no one's going to do a thing about it because ultimately, when you're in that position of management, you get to dictate how people view you and what the narrative is surrounding you. Now, when Buffalo ultimately has 3 straight years of being in the very bottom of the AFC North or East, and Josh Allen demands a trade, and Buffalo it'll be at a certain point, it'll be like Bugs Bunny or the Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote with a Acme plunger detonating a comically large bundle of TNT around what vestige was left of. I mean, if you had 9 years of a Super Bowl window and it was still open, right? All you had to do is put parts and pieces in place, and you failed to do that. So instead, you just slammed the window shut. You said, it's that guy's fault, and I'm going to continue to build this team the way that I see fit, because clearly, Keon Coleman was a wise choice. You fucking idiot. Brandon Beane, what a dipshit, dude. Big winner, Los Angeles Chargers. Yeah, you don't know about that. Whatever one thinks of Mike McDaniel's head coaching bona fides, there is no arguing that he can dial up an offense. Yes, and the same was said about Mike Martz. He is one of the best in the NFL at putting players in position to succeed, specifically by getting playmakers the ball in space so they can make things happen after the catch. Yes, that is generally a wise thing that an offensive coordinator should be able to do. But I'm glad Mike McDaniel can do that, and we deserve to give him a lot of accolades because he can do what an offensive coordinator is supposed to do. He also excels at designing a run game. The Chargers have struggled to run the ball for a while, and McDaniel should be able to alleviate that. McDaniel has done all of this over the past few years with a quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, who has clear limitations. Ain't that right, dude? Tua! Yet McDaniel schemed around them, except for the concussions. And, not for nothing, but you're not going to be successful when Slater and Joe Alt are both out for the whole year, right? When there is... Look, I'll be honest, there is some good in San Diego or Los Angeles of the fucking Chargers, okay? The fucking Chargers. There's a lot good there. Justin Herbert is I think a very good quarterback. He just has never had a coach that can really unlock him. Omarion Hampton might be something. I wasn't overly impressed with him. He's not Jahmyr Gibbs. Oronde Gadsden seems to be a very interesting tight end. You got Ladd McConkey. That's all I really know about the Chargers, right? I don't really... Look at this Bruce Willis looking son of a bitch over there. And he look like Bruce Willis. Losers, Cleveland Browns. Still farting around being the Browns. Cleveland is still on its second round of interviews with coaches such as Todd Monken and Jim Schwartz already getting their turns, and others like Jesse Minter, Grant Udinsky, and Nate Steelhaus reportedly in the mix. There is still a chance the Brown Eyes can land the plane here, and this designation could change if they make a home run hire. We'll switch them from a loser to a winner if they do that. Honestly, at this point, maybe Jim Schwartz should just tell him to get bent. Clearly, you don't want him. Look, he's good enough to be interviewed. He's good enough to be told he will be our defensive coordinator. He's good enough to keep around and to consider. But if you haven't pulled the trigger on him already, clearly you don't want him. And if Jim Schwartz wants to be a head coach, wouldn't this be mildly insulting? I mean, I would be insulted, but I'm also an egotistical maniac. You know what I'm saying? Tennessee is a kind of winner. The Titans hired former San Francisco 49ers defense coordinator and New York Jets head coach Robert Saleh as their next coach. Perhaps, just as importantly, they did not hire now two-time Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy, which has been heavily rumored before the Saleh news broke. Given the connection between Nagy and the Titans general manager Mike Borgonzi from their time in Kansas City. Nagy showed little propensity for putting players in position to succeed during his tenure as head coach of the Chicago Bears, and oh, how beautiful that was. And the Chiefs' offense backslid significantly upon his return to his previous role. So it never made much sense that he was considered the favorite to land this job. Saleh's time in New York did not go particularly well, but that stemmed almost entirely from the revolving door situation at quarterback and a terrible general manager situation. His defense ranked as the best in the league during that stretch. If the Titans are right about Cam Ward, things could go different this time around. I do think that was, I've been saying that the Tennessee job should be more appealing to people than it looks on the surface. Obviously, you think, the Tennessee Titans, not a big media market. The AFC South is just kind of gross, just in general. Jacksonville, Tennessee, Indianapolis. Houston's kind of the darling, right? Yeah, but you're a wide receiver one away, maybe a tight end, maybe another running back away from unlocking Cam Ward. I think they got a good, solid foundation there. And a guy like Robert Saleh, a defensive-minded, tougher-minded head coach, should be very successful with what is left there. And finally, the losers, the big losers, Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins fired McDaniel, and he immediately became the top candidate for nearly every offensive coordinator opening, while also interviewing for multiple head coaching jobs and subsequently being realized that he's a freaking weirdo. In the wake of his firing, the rumor mill kicked into high gear with Miami wanted to pursue Harbaugh, but he showed more interest in other opportunities. The Dolphins ultimately hired Green Bay Packers tandem of John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley as their general manager and head coach, respectively. Hafley went 22-26 in 4 seasons as the head coach at Boston College before becoming Green Bay's defensive coordinator. His defense played very well early in the season before slipping down the stretch. I don't know, maybe not having Micah Parsons could have been a contributing factor. He is well-respected defensive mind, but it's fair to question whether this was the most inspiring hire in the grand scheme of things. Yes, not the biggest splash for the Miami Dolphins, especially considering they did a complete overhaul, GM and head coach. Now, you do get their familiarity. I mean, they both are coming from the Packers organization, so at least these two kind of have a plan already, possibly a mutually minded goal, but we'll see. We'll see. How are we feeling, Mad Hatter Nation? How are we feeling? Bills fired a good coach and promoted a GM that's failed miserably. They seem to be copying the mistake by the lake. Agree? Yeah, I agree with my mom, and she agrees with Brent. Excuse me. The Bills, dude. But like I said, Brandon Beane, dude, management protects themselves. He's clearly a snake in the grass. He's clearly greasy, And for whatever reason, those of us on the low ends of the scale that go, hey, there's the problem, it's pretty obvious, right? Because there's so much money invested in guys like this, they go, no. We cannot let them fail. We must promote to their level of incompetency. That is the only answer for it. And then once they fail so catastrophically, and we are talking multiple years of progressive failure. You think the Bills are in a bad spot now? Brandon Beane couldn't build a roster to save his ass. He don't know the difference between his asshole and his elbow. You think he could build a fucking roster? Hell no. The only thing holding back the tides of the Brandon Beane insanity was Sean McDermott. And you just said, you know what, Gandalf? He shall pass. And they just kicked him right out of the way. And now Josh Allen is just standing there like, I can't do it, Mr. Frodo. I just can't do it. You know what I'm saying, dude? And it's just bullshit. It's just bullshit all around. But you know what? Go ahead, Buffalo. Go ahead. You're kind of like the Detroit Lions, where even though you're good, you're never going to be allowed to win. And your fans are, at this point, you know, look, when I was coming up, the Bills weren't really that great of a team. Remember guys like, was it Rod Johnson and Emmanuel, what was their quarterback, Emmanuel Wilson? Or, oh gosh, who was that kid? Didn't Kyle Bowler play for them, or was he a Baltimore Raven? Gosh, I feel like there's a couple other big misses at quarterback back during the like Willis McGahee era. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? Missed last 14 minutes on damn phone. Hey, it's okay, Rick, dude. You gotta do what you gotta do. I feel bad for Keon. He isn't good, but they kind of kicked that man. Dude, Mr. Figs, bro, legit, dude. They just kind of shit on Keon Coleman. I didn't think he was gonna be that great, but like they just really shit on that guy, dude. This Petzing hire kind of feels like SOL, but I thought we were over that crap. Amon better be right. Even though Morton basically got fired midway, didn't get Johnny Moe right. Sam Armstrong, what's up, dude? Good to see you, brother. I don't think this feels SOL at all. I think what we're all kind of feeling is that everybody, Doug Flutie, there you go, Mom. Hell yeah, Doug Flutie. I think what we're kind of feeling right now is we had really high expectations, right? We're all sold on, and I'm using Mike McDaniel because he was the hot name. I've been high on Mike McDaniel since Ben Johnson left last year, right? I was hoping McDaniel would get fired the same year that Ben Johnson took Chicago's job, I was calling for McDaniel to be our offensive coordinator, right? If you look at what Dan Campbell said, though, he said McDaniel wasn't a good fit. Kafka, Robinson, not good fits, right? At the end of season press conference, Dan Campbell said he wants to get back to what we did 23-24. Run the ball. Big, heavy sets. You know what I'm saying? Run the ball. Drew Petzing, 2 of 3 years in Arizona, was a top 5 and top 10 rushing attack in the NFL. This last year, Arizona sucks, dude. Kyler Murray's a coach killer. They were decimated with injuries. Top to bottom, offensive line, running back room, right? They were consistently playing from behind. The head coach failed at being a defensive-minded head coach. The Arizona Cardinals never topped a top 20 defense in the NFL, regularly playing from behind and being forced to play for 2 of those 3 years, when healthy, and overpaid Kyler Murray. Now, when you look at what Drew Petzing likes to do, heavy sets, quarterback, under center, play action. Look, most of us are saying more Monty. Don't let Monty go. Monty. Drew Petzing, by all accounts, will be that guy to utilize David Montgomery. We also talked about, for days, about how Jared Goff needed to be very involved in the hiring of the offensive coordinator role, right? We don't know how many phone calls Jared Goff took, but we do know that Jared Goff talked to Drew Petzing, which means, by all accounts, Jared Goff was involved with the hiring process of the offensive coordinator and gave it his thumb up, right? Thumbs up, the stamp of approval, whatever you want to call it. Look, if we're reading the tea leaves, this should be the guy. We shouldn't be necessarily super down on him. Yes, I agree with you. We wanted a nice sports car, right? We were like, I'm 16 years old, and Dad said he was going to buy me a car, and I'm pretty sure he's going to buy me a Porsche. And he comes home with a 5-year-old F-150. You know what I'm saying? Body's in great shape, no rust, low miles. You know what I'm saying? And right now, Detroit Lions fans are kind of acting like those kids who cry about the car that they get on TikTok for their birthday. Like, we're being a little ungrateful. I don't want to just completely glaze Amon-Ra St. Brown, but from one asshole to another, I understand what he's saying. Look, dude, anytime there's been an issue, Dan Campbell addressed it. Who was our first offense? Anthony Lynn didn't even make it out of his first year, and Dan Campbell's like, "You're fucking done. You're a problem." You know what I'm saying? Then Ben Johnson came in and worked out great. You know what I'm saying? Then we moved on to Johnny Moe's screens, and that didn't work out. Midway through the season, Dan Campbell's like, "Look, I can't have the circus of firing you because of how it's going to look. I'm already dealing with the backlash for you failing to meet standards, for us failing to be what everyone wanted us to be. They wanted us all to be the exact same team that we were 2 years ago under Ben Johnson, where we had a healthy Kirby Joseph, we had an aggressive defense, we were stealing possessions by both on defense and going forward on fourth down, which now all accounts kind of look to be that Ben Johnson was the catalyst behind that because Chicago set a historic amount of fourth down attempts in the playoffs. Whereas Dan Campbell this year has drastically reduced the amount of times they went forward on fourth down. Now, that could also lead into we weren't as efficient because we weren't practicing it as much because Ben Johnson wasn't specializing on it so much and putting so much emphasis on it. All that to be said, Dan Campbell said, look, this is the mentality that I need to have. This is the guy that I need to have. My next offensive coaching hire has to work. I said it when we hired him. Dan Campbell hired him. He will either sink or swim based on this offensive coordinator hire. So he had to be incredibly specific with the individual that he wanted. Now, we interviewed quite a number of guys. Hot names. Mike Kafka, Mike McDaniel, Zach Robinson, Arthur Smith. You know what I'm saying? And ultimately, after all of these high-profile guys, Dan Campbell settled on a dude who we all are like, this isn't sexy, this isn't flashy, this isn't what I wanted. But Dan Campbell's going, trust me. Amon-Ra St. Brown's going, what has Dan Campbell done to make you not trust him? Seriously, what has, other than it's not the moves we want, has it not worked out? We were a plus 500 team this year. Yes, we missed the playoffs. Yes, it was Super Bowl or bust. Yes, we had high aspirations. We're the fucking Detroit Lions. I'm 37. I'll be 38 in April. And this is the golden era of Detroit Lions. We're sitting here going, bah, is it down here? Bitch, we were still above 500. When has that ever happened in your lifetime? Except for a couple of you. You know what I'm saying? I'd def tell anyone, tell me honestly, they knew who Petzing was before we hired him. Judas, exactly, dude. That's the thing. That's the whole thing. It's who? Who is this guy? Anyone outside of Arizona has no idea who Drew Petzing is. So it's not a sexy pick, dude. It's not a sexy pick. Look, if you guys want me to put it in gun terms, look, man, yeah, I want to buy a Hellcat. Yeah, I want to buy the Springfield Prodigy. You know what I'm going to end up fucking getting? A goddamn PSA dagger. You know why? Because it does everything that I fucking need it to do. They don't have even close to the talent we do. Rick, exactly, bro. I think most of us would leave it up to you if you feel it necessary. It's your time. Who are you to tell to do with your time? All I say is I love the show. Oh, thank you. Oh, you're talking about the poll? Oh, shit. I forgot about the poll, guys. Appreciate it, Carrie. Thank you, dude. If you have another, I'll give it a listen. Hell yeah, brother. I appreciate it, dude. I appreciate that, man. Hang on. Let me pause this. Hang on. Boop. Sorry. I could just see their faces moving. It was driving me nuts. I had my own damn car. Mommy and Daddy weren't going to do it for me. There you go, bud. There you go. If he wants to say we don't ball, I don't like it, but if you don't have access to behind the scenes, but to say Lions fans don't know much about anything is ignorant and arrogant. I'll give you that, Judas. And so, actually, that's what what's her name? That blonde from Nashville, the lawyer chick that's also a sports writer. She was talking about this, and like I said, here's the thing, man. All right. It's pretty obvious Amon-Ra St. Brown's an asshole. Is there anything to say that Amon-Ra St. Brown... Yes, he gives back to the community. He seems like a fun guy. But he clearly is kind of an asshole. And assholes, from time to time, say kind of shitty things. But was it not true? Were the things he's saying not true? Yeah, it kind of sucks. The problem is that a lot of what you're hearing is a vocal minority of people who he is right. They don't know ball. They don't know ball. Because, to your point, How many people? If you knew ball, you would have known who Drew Petzing is. Or if you knew ball, you would have pumped the brakes for a minute. I was on Twitter, immediately said, I'm not shitting my pants excited about this game, about this hire. But if you look at it, if you take a breath, if you just pump it for a second, we're such a reactionary first society, dude. But I do agree with you. I will agree with you, Judas. You know, sometimes it's sometimes assholes say shitty things. You know what I'm saying, dude? Hello there. I'm Mr. Shitty Tangsay. You know what I'm saying? I do it all the time, bro. So I get it. We're going into year 3 of going backwards, and for him to suggest blind faith now just shows how delusional they are. I don't know if we're necessarily going backwards. Backwards would have been a sub 500 team. We still were able to scratch it out. It wasn't pretty, you know. Maybe it's not flashy sports car, has the right hookups for the big-ass engine. We at least have the garage is what I'm getting at. Yes, dude, Mr. Figs, exactly, dude. Exactly. Like, we can't judge a guy based on what he's hasn't done yet. You know what I mean? We can say that, yes, Kyler Murray's offensive production in Arizona, the passing game, was less than impressive. This year, their run game sucked donkey dick. Now say big floppy donkey dick. You know what I'm saying? They don't have the talent. Dude, Jacoby Brisket beat out Kyler Murray. They don't have the talent. Outside of Trey McBride, who do they got? And we should be hype about Trey McBride's production. And we can grandma wagon Trey McBride onto Sam Laporta, because that's how the copium we're going to use to try and get people on board with Lil Spud. There ain't nothing wrong with Lil Spud yet. Now, let's see how Lil Spud bakes. If Lil Spud's overdone, well, then maybe you need to throw out the whole oven. It was a little shocking. Okay, let's go to this offense back in line. Exactly. It was real shocking. Pop message to protect themselves. You get it, American Boxer. Yep. We can all be assholes from time to time. Rick C., I am just an asshole all the time. You know what keeps assholes shitty is things they say private not being on podcasts. I knew him having one would be a problem. Yeah, Judas, and that's kind of something that I was actually getting at this year. I eat Italian subs bigger than Kyler. Appreciate it. Thank you, Beantown. Thanks for the super chat, brother. That is super what's up with you, dude. I really appreciate that. So here's the thing, though. I do agree with you, Judas. I think that the term that I used was we needed Amon-Ra to get back to being Amon-Ra the man, not Amon-Ra the brand, right? You could see a little bit of that diva attitude starting to spark up a year ago with the Little Caesars commercials, you know, and I started kind of thinking to myself, I was like, come on, man, this isn't what we need to be about. You know what I mean? This isn't what we need to be about, but I do agree with you. Personally, I'm not wild about active athletes. You know, if you want to be a podcaster in your retirement years, dude, awesome. Knock your socks off. You give us so much insight into the behind-the-scenes shit of the league, right? But I don't want my athletes, my players, distracted. I don't want them saying things they shouldn't. I don't need this type of PR nightmare, right? Because you had to say it during the offseason, so now all people are going to do is just dwell on it, you know. Yes, what he said probably wasn't the best thing. I get it. I get where he's coming from, though. He's trying to protect his guys, you know. Probably a little tired of hearing people chirping about it. Unfortunately, this shows a little bit more immaturity out of Amon-Ra St. Brown that none of us are really expecting. So, to kind of go along with the Drew Petzing hire being shocking, I think Amon-Ra doing this is like a little bit more of a character-jarring move than we kind of thought Amon-Ra might have been. But when you look at the way he acts on the field, the way he does chirp at people, he talks a lot, he runs his mouth, he's an asshole. He ain't Jared Goff. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. Dave Montgomery is a better quarterback than Kyler Murray or Brisket. That's awesome. See the Lions getting David Bailey for the edge. Yeah, American Boxer. Actually, I almost... hang on. Did I pull that story? No, shit. I almost pulled a story up about David Bailey. Because I was real high on David Bailey, like, week 15 through the end of the season. And what I'm seeing with David Bailey on the mocks, I'm real high on David Bailey. I'm real high on him. I'd love for the Lions to get him. But what I'm seeing with David Bailey in the mock drafts is the exact same pattern that we've seen with Will Anderson Jr. 2 years ago, where you see him going as high as 2, all the way as late as 20. So as much as I want David Bailey, I don't want to get my hopes up on David Bailey. So I'm going to shit in one hand and wish in the other. But chances are we're probably going to have to go offensive line. But if Bailey is within striking distance and Dan can cook up some type of a deal to maybe go up and grab him, or we're confident in him sliding, maybe he has a terrible combine. But I like the David Bailey prospect. Again, I think he kind of hits that same smaller but equally as athletic as like a Will Anderson. Needs to get a little bit stronger, can kind of get defeated in the run game, doesn't really set the edge and hold the line real well. But if you're looking to bring in a guy that you just want to have be to be a one-to-one replacement year one for, say, an Al-Qadim Muhammad, and then you go and get another guy to hold down the defensive ends on first and second down, maybe that's the route you go. I'm not going to be mad about it. I wouldn't be pleased if we, say, went from 17 to 10 to draft a third down pass rush specialist in the first year, especially if there's a guy like a Spencer Fano that we could go and get. I would rather us address the offensive line through the draft. We have a more proven track record so far. Yes, Mahogany was injured. Yes, Ratledge didn't play great at times, but played well enough the majority of the time. Frazier could still be a question mark with a lot of upside. I think, though, when you look at how well Penei Sewell has done, and again, I am projecting a lot of Penei Sewell love onto Spencer Fano. I think you just go after Fano, you lock down your tackle positions for the next 10 years. You got 2 gold jackets holding the edge for the Detroit Lions. That's the route that I would like to go. And then, obviously, the second round, you're never going to be able to get your dick beaters on David Bailey. However, Jake Slaughter might still possibly be there, which, again, I'm super high on Slaughter. I am more in the camp of addressing the offensive line than going defense, unless, again, for some reason, David Bailey, no Fano, no Slaughter at 17. Somehow David Bailey is still there. Well, then, yeah, I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with the Lions moving up to 12 to go after David Bailey. I couldn't take him in the top 10 for a third down pass rush specialist with a lot of upside to develop right now, considering the amount of talent that should be there in the offensive draft class. I think that this draft class specifically has a lot of big bodies that we could go after. This is the draft class, I think, to do it. But again, it's all a matter how it shakes out, and we are months away from the draft right now. That being said, though, we are going to start doing some mock drafts. You boys know I love doing me some mock drafts, dude. 100%. Hell yeah, Judas. I appreciate it, dude. You know, I know that, like, I kind of was disagreeing with you, dude, but, like, I like to think I get where you're coming from. I'm not saying that my take is right. I just think we should give this guy a little bit more, Petzing a little bit more. We shouldn't just be firing him. We shouldn't just be packing it all in now. When you actually look at the body of work, it's not something that we should be. Yes, we should look at it with an interesting move, you know, raised eyebrow, but we shouldn't just be crossing arms and saying, fuck it, it's done, blow the whole thing up, sell it all, trade everybody, move the team to fucking Mexico. You know what I'm saying? But when St. Brown started to get recognized for his accomplishments on the field, it went to his head. Yes, I agree with you, Beantown. He needs to calm down and just play football. I agree with you, Beantown. And I think part of, at least my surprise with what he said was the last couple of games when he was interviewed, he kept talking about the team and it seemed like he had a bit of an attitude adjustment. And I was like, well, it sounds like his dad called him and told him to shape up or get it right. You know what I'm saying? Shape up or ship out. So I think that at least in my opinion, I was thinking he was getting back to the gritty, hungry Amon-Ra St. Brown, and this move specifically with the podcast. And when you look at his body language through it, he's a frustrated individual. I get it, but, you know, you do need to do better, brah. You need to do better. When they play their commercials during playoff games. Yes, dude, it really sucks, dude. It does. I agree with you. I hate all commercials. I agree with you. Petzinger hire raises the need at tight end. I agree with you, Rick. I'd rather free agent veteran center than a draft pick. That's fair. Well, Judas, let me ask you about this. How would you feel about us trying to trade for a guy like a Halati Frogeholt or Jackson Powers Johnson from the Las Vegas Raiders of Oakland. Also, not for nothing, guys. Look, Seth McLaughlin might actually be pretty good, right? I know that it's that Brad Holmes, some no-name guy that's injured or had a catastrophic collegiate injury, but he did make it through a whole season on the practice squad with no injuries, right? He was, the Remington Award winners in college. He played at both Alabama and Ohio State. Look, it could be a really, really sneaky signing that Brad Holmes pulled off right there. You know what I'm saying? American boxer, offensive coordinators, quarterbacks, and running backs all look good when the offensive line. Exactly, dude. Exactly. That's why I'm so high on that Spencer Fano. I'm so high on Spencer Fano. All right, guys, we got a couple minutes here, about 20 more minutes. Run through this list here. MVP finalists. Let me know. Sound off in the chat who you think should win the MVP. Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Drake May, Christian McCaffrey, or Matthew Stafford. Personally, considering there are only two of these guys left in the playoff hunt, it's quite a compare and contrast. Josh Allen is probably the best player in the NFL. Drake May is having the most insane season of a second-year quarterback with a first-year head coach, playing in the division that they play in with the Bills there as well. And Matt Stafford, Old Faithful. I think it comes down to those three guys. Personally, I would vote for Josh Allen because he means more to the team, at least year over year. But Drake May is putting that S on his chest all year. Coach of the Year, Liam Cohen, Ben Small PP, Benedict Arnold, Osama Ben Johnson, the Trader in the Windy City, Mike McDonald, Kyle Shanahan, or this guy right here. You got to give it to Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel is the only answer. Assistant Coach of the Year, Vic Fangio, Flores, Vance Joseph, Clint Kubiak, or Josh McDaniels. Obviously, it's going to go to Brian Flores because everybody loves Brian Flores, though Vic Fangio probably deserves a lot of respect as well. And Vance Joseph, not for nothing, going from being a former head coach of the Broncos to a coordinator position is quite a... takes a pretty big man to do a move like that. Comeback Player of the Year. I'm going to tell you right now it's going to be Aiden Hutchinson because I put a wager on Aiden Hutchinson being Comeback Player of the Year. So Aiden Hutchinson deserves to get it. He's in the mix with Steph Diggs, Trevor Lawrence, C-Mac, and Dak Prescott. C-Mac's probably going to get it because of name recognition, though, considering the gruesome nature of the injury. The fact that he was a second-team All-Pro and is in the discussion for Defensive Player of the Year. There he is, Aiden Hutchinson. You got to give Comeback Player of the Year to Aiden Hutchinson. 14.5 sacks, second-team All-Pro, Pro Bowl nod. Led the league in pressures after having a catastrophic leg injury, right? Not a knee injury. That motherfucker broke both of them damn chicken bones in his leg, dude. Defensive Player of the Year, Will Anderson, Nick Bonito, Myles Garrett, Aiden Hutchinson, or Micah Parsons. I do not agree, although I would love to see it. I don't think Aiden Hutchinson wins Defensive Player of the Year. The numbers outside of the pressures just aren't there. The team was not impressive enough. Micah Parsons, injured, although when you look at how important he was to the defense, probably does deserve it, but the body of work, again, injury, doesn't really account for it. Will Anderson Jr., solid name. Nick Bonito, solid name. Myles Garrett, though, was able to have a historically good season on a dumpster fire of a team, and everybody loves Myles Garrett. Now you got to give it to Myles Garrett. Offensive Player of the Year, Drake May, Christian McCaffrey, Puka, Bijan, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. You got to give it to Bijan Robinson. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Abdul Carter, Nick Amani-Warrior, James Pierce Jr., Carson Swessinger, or Xavier Watts. I'm going James Pierce Jr., Offensive Rookie of the Year. Is there anybody else other than Jackson Farton Dart? I think not. Quickly, rapid fire. Defense coordinator Brian Flores is staying in Minnesota. Good for him. And guys, we already kind of talked about it. Drew Petzing, obviously, is the Lions' new offensive coordinator, and Amon-Ra St. Brown took to his podcast. So while the Lions have yet to make the hiring of offensive coordinator Drew Petzing official, one player has already offered his first thoughts on the hire during his weekly podcast with his brother. Lions receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown provided a little insight into the pretzel hire, what he heard from quarterback Jared Goff, and a brief conversation he already had with the Lions' new offensive coordinator. This weekend, St. Brown said he was getting antsy, waiting to hear who was the next offensive coordinator going to be, so he hit up someone he knew would have an insight to look into the process, the quarterback. While nothing was official yet, Goff did bring up Petzing's name and provided some insight to St. Brown. He said he was very good. He's smart. Although they didn't have the best offense, he does a lot of good stuff. St. Brown then went into doing his own research and was fascinated to see that Petzing has shared a history with Lions' former offensive coordinator, Benedict Arnold Osama Ben Johnson, the trader in the Windy City. He has a small peepee. Come to find out, he was actually at Boston College with Ben Johnson, which is crazy. And he was a groomsman at Ben Johnson's wedding, so that's really, actually really ironic. Then he got a text from Coach Dan Campbell confirming the hire was going to happen. I just want to let you know we're hiring Drew Petzing as our OC. He's going to be great for us, St. Brown said, recalling the text. Earlier, he's going to be great for us. Look, I'm not saying it. Others are saying it. Dan Campbell with a little Trumpian text. Earlier this week, St. Brown got a call from Petzing himself, and they had a little conversation, both personal and football related. Here's what St. Brown had to say about his first impression of the new Lions offensive coordinator. Basically, he just wanted to say what's up to me. He told me he was excited. I told him I'm excited too. Let's get to work. I was just catching up, small talk. That was it. He just wanted to check and introduce himself. So I appreciate him for that. And honestly, I'm excited. I think it's going to be great for us. I trust Dan. I trust all the decision makers for the Lions. I think they do a great job. So I'm excited for him. In between hearing the news and talking to Petzing himself, St. Brown also saw a wave of negative reaction from the fans. And the Lions All-Pro receiver had a pretty strong message to those who were being overly critical of the hire. I'm not saying that it was the right thing to say, but he's not wrong. I see crazy Lions fans talking crazy like, why would you do this? Bro, do you guys have no trust in Dan and the Lions? Do you think they would just hire a random dude? Be for real. Do you think they don't know what they're doing? They don't do the research? They don't interview? Most of you, this is where he gets fucked up, but I agree with him. Most of you guys don't really know much about anything about any ball, Brown continued. And you're tweeting about a coach that was hired that you guys don't like because of X, Y, and Z. It's funny for me to see. Don't get me wrong, I love all Lions fans, but they are so quick to make judgments about whoever we hire. We did this. Bro, just relax, calm down, let the whole thing play out. Just let it play out and relax. You can watch the entire podcast below. The conversation about Petzing starts around the 27:15 mark. Let's go. Bam. Let's let it play out.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, bro. It don't matter. It don't matter. I'm just whooping you in regular season and playoffs. Anyways, there's a lot of new
Amon-Ra
hirings
St.
that
Brown
going
looks like
on.
Roger from American Dad sometimes.
Let's talk about you guys. You guys hired a new OC, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. How do you feel about that?
I feel great. I didn't know. I was actually kind of getting a little antsy because I see all these coaches getting hired. I'm like, damn, when are the Lions? When are we going to make a move? When are we going to get a coordinator? Because that's all we're really waiting on. And, yesterday, it's actually funny. Yesterday morning, texted Jared. I said, because, quarterback always, I feel like, knows more about hirings than any other position because they're like one of the most important guys that need to know what's going on. So I texted Jared. I was like, what do you think we're going to do? And he said, he doesn't really know yet, but he mentioned, Drew Petzing. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know we interviewed him. Like, that's not something that was really being talked about. He said he was with the Cardinals, and he said he's good. Like, he's smart. Although they didn't have the best offense, like, he does a lot of good stuff. And so I was like, okay, that's interesting. And, me being me, I looked him up on Wikipedia. I'm like, I want to know where he coached, like his background. So, he's been actually at a few places. Come to find out he was actually at Boston College with Ben Johnson, which is crazy. And he was, a groomsman at Ben Johnson's wedding. So that's actually really ironic. But look him up, boom. I'm like, okay. 11 o'clock hits. That was in the morning. Like 11:30 hits. I get a text from Dan. He's like, hey, Sam, I just want to let you know, like, we're hiring, Drew Petzing as our OC. He's going to be great for us, yada, yada, yada. Like, I'm excited. I said, let's do it. Like, I'm ready. And like hour later, I just see on Twitter, or I forget, someone tweeted it, one of those guys that tweets everything. We hired, Drew Petzing as our OC, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, okay, boom, it's the league. Let's go. We got our guy. Bro, I see crazy Lions fans talking crazy. Like, oh, why would we do this? Like, bro, do you guys, like, have no trust in Dan? Like, in the Lions, like, you think they would just hire a random dude? Like, be for real. Like, you think they don't know what they're doing? They don't do their research. They don't interview. Like, most of you guys don't know really much about anything, about any ball.
Wow. Wow.
And you're tweeting about a coach that was hired that you guys don't like because of XYZ.
Admittedly, even Equimenius was like, wow. Even he was like,
Like, it's just funny to me to see. Don't get me wrong, I love all Lions fans, but they are so quick to make, judgments about who we hired, who we did this. Like, bro, just relax. Calm down. Like, let the whole thing play out. Like, you guys just let it play out. Just relax. That's all I gotta say.
All right. I get what you're saying about that he's trust the people who are paying him millions. That's fair. They are paying him millions. But everybody was like, what the fuck are we doing drafting Amon-Ra St. Brown? This guy ain't gonna be good. Like, all the same shit was kind of said about Amon-Ra. See how it worked out? You know what I mean? Like, I get where Amon-Ra is coming from. But I understand. Look, he could have said it a little bit differently. However, assholes are going to asshole, man. I'm an asshole, all right? I get it. I get told a lot of times, you're not wrong. It's just you can't say it like that. And I was like, well, fuck that, though. It got the point across, didn't it? People are talking about it. We're sitting here having a whole conversation about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get both sides. I'm not trying to be Tim Pool. Do I have a fucking beanie somewhere since I'm basically dressed like Tim Pool? I'm not trying to be like Tim Pool, but, I see both sides of it, and neither side is necessarily wrong. Yes, he could have said things a lot differently. However, nothing he said was wrong, dude. It just, look, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. One of the rules to live by. There is a difference between talking shit and saying things you don't want to hear, right? Talking shit is exactly that. You are just talking out your ass, just talking shit, right? But saying things you don't want to hear is exactly that. You just don't want to hear it because deep down, it's fucking true. We just don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear, look, this is what it is. I mean, the fucking, it's already happened. You can't put that toothpaste back in the tube. The best thing we could do is just relax, see how it plays out. Have trust in the brass that has rebuilt this franchise from nothing. You know what I'm saying? A little bit more leeway with these guys. You got to have faith. Maybe we should just start calling him Drew George Michael Petzing. You got to have faith. We've had 3/4 of a century of primarily losing. They should be more appreciative. They still have a fan base at all. That's true. Hey, Judas. All right, that's fair, dude. Yeah. All right, I'll give you that, dude. Yeah, that's fair. It could be a little, I get where you're coming from, Amon-Ra hasn't experienced that, though, but I get what you're saying. You know what I mean? That longtime fans, it sucks being told shit like that. But let's be honest, there are a lot of people who are sounding off that have no fucking idea what the hell they're talking about, It's not a flashy hire. None of us were shitting ourselves excited about it. And it took a little bit of digging to see what the hell the guy's about, But I think that we shouldn't be super disappointed in this hire. I think it's exactly what we need. I know I said the same thing about John Morton. John Morton, most vertical passing attempts as the pass game coordinator for Denver, and Jared Goff with the play action, and blah, 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 blah. I realized that I tried to convince all of us on John Morton. I feel a lot more confident about Drew Petzing, though, than I do about John Morton. I mean, at least Petzing has a relatively solid background in being able to script run plays at the very least. John Morton couldn't find his asshole with 2 hands and a sharp stick. You know what I'm saying? That's true, Sam. Yeah, I agree with you. Yes, a ticket holder deserves the right to bitch when you suck. And not just ticket holders, dude, anybody. anybody who has spent money on your organization does deserve the right to bitch, which is why I'm saying, like, you're not wrong for complaining about the hire, right? I get it. Like, you are just in feeling that way. And if you want to feel that way, that's fine. I think that there is a little bit more credibility to the hire than people are really giving it. I think we're very knee-jerk reactionary. Just you know. Yes, I'll give you the John Morton hire was a bad one, but outside of that, everything else has been pretty on point. And Dan has been shown to pull the trigger when need be. You know, and yeah, Aaron Glenn didn't work out so great, or we didn't think he was working out so great, but he ended up getting a head coaching opportunity. So the NFL obviously thought something about him. You know, so you can't say Dan Campbell was wrong per se, but I mean, I guess I never thought that the numbers supported Aaron Glenn becoming a head coach. I'm taking the wait and see approach. Won't judge Petzinger until week 5. There you go, dude. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and you know what, Rick? I think week 5 is a totally fair measuring stick. You're a third of the way through the year. You already know what you're going to get, you know. I completely agree with you, dude. For real, though, when the Patriots won their first Super Bowl, who in media was praising the OC? Did they even know who he was? What matters is the captain of the ship. There you go. There you go, Kane. Yeah. Less upset about the hire than how ASB came off. Honestly, I didn't know he was an asshole, and it caught me off guard. Yeah, so Judas, does that make sense then, dude? What I was saying about how, like, I think what happened was Amon-Ra kind of shattered the image that people kind of had of him in his mind. But if you look at how the way he chirps on the field, he gets in people's face, he runs his mouth, he celebrates, you know. I think Amon-Ra is just kind of an asshole, and we all just kind of didn't or chose not to see it. But look at it now. Look at how he acts now, but look at it through the lens of, yeah, that's how assholes act. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? I agree with you, though, dude. I agree with you, man. It sucks the way he went about it. You expect a little bit more. You know? Like how's this? The way he said that is something you expect J-Mo to say, not Amon-Ra. Is that a fair assumption? We kind of expect something like that out of J-Mo or a Jamar Chase, a little bit more of the perceived diva wide receiver. Amon-Ra, he's a diva, but we just don't perceive him as a diva because he was a 4th-round pick, because he does the nitty-gritty, because his splash plays aren't 60-yard bombs. You know what I'm saying? He does a lot of the dirty work, you know? But just like Golden Tate, he's kind of an asshole. He's an NFL wide receiver. That shouldn't surprise any of us. Yeah, dude, they're all divas. Brad needs to go back to being the chef. That's fair. There's a lot of bald white guys, prejudice all over any conversation about Drew Petzing. You know, American, and there you go, dude. You know, what I seen a lot of people say was he looks like a cop. And I'm like, yeah? Well, I don't like that. Okay. What if we put a fucking paper bag on his head? Would you like him then? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to be in the booth probably anyway. What are you worried about? Fuck, man. Not be nearly as shocked if it came out of J-Mo. Exactly, dude. That's exactly it. It's the image that we have of Amon-Ra in our head. It's the image that we've concocted of Amon-Ra in our head that is so jarring. Because what he said isn't wrong. It's just not what we expect to come out of, I caught this big old fish. You know what I'm saying? You expect it out of J-Mo. But in reality, haven't we been watching the evolution of J-Mo just this past 18 months, right? So even that isn't a fair statement, you know? Call me an asshole, but I like assholes. Hell yeah, Kane. Or Mr. Figs, my bad. He's an asshole, but he's an elite wide receiver asshole. I love him. Exactly, Kane. Exactly, dude. Yeah, Mr. Figs, call me an asshole. I like assholes. You know why I like assholes? Because you know exactly where you fucking stand with an asshole. There ain't no beating around the bush with an asshole. Hasn't anyone coached shitty one place for whatever reason and coached great somewhere else? Exactly, Carrie. Look at Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel's about to be in the Super Bowl and be the coach of the year. Hell, he might even win a Super Bowl in his first year. St. Brown didn't even want to get drafted by Detroit. He said so himself. Exactly, Brandy. Yeah, dude. He really didn't want to come there. You're right. There was an interview where he was like, oh, fuck, man. I don't want to go there, you know. What's up, Derek? How you doing, brother? St. Brown didn't even want to get... Oh, wait, I read that already. Not liking someone because of how they look is wild. Agreed, dude. Agreed, Mr. Figs. Agreed. Now, you know, that being said, I can... Especially when he has a helmet on, dude, I can never, whenever I see Amon-Ra on the field, because he's got kind of a bobblehead, I always see Roger from American Dad. I don't know why, but he just reminds me of Roger from American Dad. It's the same with Jared Goff. He didn't look autistic. Everyone would be glazing him. Exactly. If Petzing had hair, people would be more chill. Dude, so Kane, you are right. Jared Goff comes across as a little bit of an autist. He also has a slush. When he talks, he has a very faint slush, which doesn't sell well on camera. He's not media friendly because Jared Goff, first of all, is one of the most selfless players in the NFL and always takes the blame for every shortcoming, whether he was playing or fucking not. Also, he doesn't look like Caleb Williams or Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. He just kind of looks like a guy. And again, he has a little bit of a slush. So when he talks, people just kind of tune it out a little bit, you know? Now, my previous statement does not apply to extravagant hair color and nose rings, though. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no. I feel you, Mr. Fig. I feel you. Well, those aren't assholes. Those are fags. As long as they're producing on the field. Saint had a lot of drops this season, though. Rick, I know, dude. That's kind of... And shout out Mr. Detroit City. I didn't know that this had all popped off. There he is. What's up, dude? I spoke him into existence, dude. Mr. Detroit City brought this whole thing to my attention. Yeah, actually, he said the same thing. Dude, I wish Amon-Ra would realize that he needs to get back on the jugs machine. Because, like, dude, you could be getting away with a little bit more of this type of talk if you didn't have fucking a bunch of drops this year, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't quite back it up when you have more drops than normal. You know what I'm saying? What up, bro? Good to see you, dude. Just been driving. Hell yeah. Well, that's what you said. I figured you were still grinding it out on the road, dude. Hell yeah. I appreciate you stopping in, though, dude. Legit, though. As soon as I say your name, you appear. My sister was tarded, and now she's a pilot. Hell yeah, dude. There you go, Derek. Goff really isn't a bad dude, but he looks like that motherfucker that pulled his pants all the way down at the urinal. Yes, dude. Jared Goff is Butters, okay? Jared Goff is Butters Stotch from South Park. Whether y'all want to see it or not, Jared Goff is Butters fucking Stotch from South Park. You know what I'm saying? A-doop-a-doop-a-doo, a-doop-doop-doo, a-doop-a-doop-boop-boop-doo. You know what I'm saying? He's fucking Butters Stotch. All right, guys. Oh, we've gone into the 11 o'clock hour. We're going to go ahead and put an end to today's show. I appreciate each and every one of you. You guys like that? You like that he's Butters? I've said that for years to Hat and Boobs. I'm like, Jared Goff is just Butters Stotch, and that's why people don't like him. He's just a Butters Stotch. He's just out there like a doop doop doo, a doop doop doo. You know what I'm saying? Just out there having fun, dude. Goff looks nothing like me. Oh, that's awesome. That's fucking awesome. Ben Johnson looks like Dahmer, so it's not any better. Dude, he does look like Dahmer, doesn't he, bro? Oh, Jared Butters Goff. Dude, yeah, fuck it. We're just going to call him Butters Goff, dude, because he's so smooth. Jared Butters Goff. What would have been funny is, like, when they were asking him about, you know, when they hit everyone with the Sonic and Knuckles, they're like, what are you? Jared Goff should have been like, I'm Butters Stotch, and just fucking like cartwheeled away or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Good old Butters Goff, dude. Never discount the Butters, baby. He does look related to Todd Chrisley. You're fucking right, dude. Holy shit, man. You're right, dude. Whoa. That's wild as hell, dude. Yo, no, you ain't even playing. You ain't even playing, dude. Legit. Come on, let me see a side by side. Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Yo. All right. We all know what Jared Goff looks like. I was trying to get a side by side. Yep. All right, guys. That's it for today. Real quick, though. What should I do? Should I go after and get myself the PSA, basically Super Freedom Pack? Should I go after... Because you guys know I was actually in the market for a Hellcat. Something a little bit more sleek. Should I go after the Dagger Micro, which is the response to that? The problem with the Dagger Micro is I don't want to run Glock 43 mags. I want to have something a little bit more universal that can run 19 and 17s, which is why I like the Dagger Compact, which is there. So the Dagger Compact is basically a Glock 17 frame on a Glock 19 slide. But here's the Micro Dagger with red dot. I'm not sold on the Saber Daggers yet. I've seen too many videos on the Saber Daggers. Have you guys seen the Saber Daggers? Yeah, have you seen the Saber Daggers? Not sold on them yet. Seen too many videos of these not shooting so great. A little bit of malfunctions after. Though if you suppose, oh, there it is, the micro dagger, dude. Motherfucker, I want the micro dagger. God damn it. All right, sorry about that, guys. I've just been scouring PSA like a motherfucker, dude. That's Beantown. That's what I heard, dude. That's what I heard, bro, was that the dagger has a really small grip, bro. If you have two hands, buy them both. I lost all my guns in a boating accident. Derek, you lost all your guns in a boating accident too, huh? Get a harpoon blaster. That's what we ride with down here by the water. I love how you guys are like, buy them all. Buy them all. I'm getting there, dude. I'm getting there, man. I'm just trying to get the best bang for my buck, dude. And, like, I get it, y'all. You know, like, okay. I just have to come to terms with the reality of I like being a budget-friendly shooter, yo. Full disclosure, this week alone, I've already shot 1,000 rounds. Like, I need something. I don't want to invest so much money that I can't afford to shoot the fucker. So I'm totally happy with going the route of Palmetto State. Like, there's nothing wrong with PSA, dude. It is a budget-friendly tinker option. I like having my but my interchangeable Lego guns. And the customization of the dagger is almost endless because it's a Glock 3 or a Gen 3 Glock clone, right? Now, PSA does do these type of fucking combo deals right here. Like, this is exactly what I'm after. You know what I'm saying? And, full disclosure, I like having green accents on my pistols. I like to look a little unique. I'm a unique little snowflake. You know what I'm saying? And this is kind of hard to beat, dude. The AR-15 M4 carbine 5.56 with M-Bus, you know what I'm saying? So totally customizable. Get all the parts I need off of Palmetto State shipped right to my house. In conjunction with that, you also get the PSA Dagger Compact with the ported or the window slot cut slide already. Already a little bit of an upgrade and not a bad deal all around. We're not ready to buy yet, though, so we're just kind of shopping around, seeing what's out and out there. Hat and Boobs thinks that I should probably just do the smart thing and just buy a handgun that I really want instead of buying the AR and handgun that I kind of want in a combo deal. How do you guys feel about that? I got a few more minutes of chat and beard with you guys. Just buy a 3D printer, problem solved. Exactly, dude. I can shoot the minis. My hand is too big, and I hate it when my pinky hangs off the bottom of the grip. Beantown, that's what I'm trying to get at, dude. That's what I want to know. Is with the dagger itself, so just the dagger. Obviously I could put a magwell on it if I wanted, but the Saber Dagger comes with the Gen 4 ejector, the Gen 4 trigger, and a steel magwell already comes on the Saber Dagger, you know. Guns and ground never lose the true value. Survival. Hell yeah, dude. Best things to spend your money on. 100%, dude. And those are the next big purchases that we're going to be making here at the Hat and Beard shows. We're just going to continue to collect force multiplying devices. And then ideally, now, full disclosure, if I end up if I do get this job that I interviewed for, we're going to have to completely overhaul the show. We're going to have to broadcast at night. Because it'll be days, and it'll probably be a little bit of a cut and pay, but ultimately my happiness will be infinitely better. The work environment's a lot better. The benefits packages are a lot better. But if numbers continue the way that they're going, theoretically I could start to turn a little bit more of a revenue out here once we get AdSense engaged. Then maybe can sell some ads reads. Ideally, this time next year, I want to be aggressively seeking out property to buy for Hat and Boobs and I. And by property, I mean I want to move out of the city. I want to have enough land that I can build a small my own private, I don't want to say range, but a place that I can shoot. Like I went to 517 the last couple days. I went Sunday and Monday. And although those guys are really, really helpful, and it is a very great environment, if you want to shoot at an indoor range, please check out Range 517 here in Lansing. They're great, very knowledgeable, clean. I need to be able to do more than just shoot punch holes in paper straight on. There's no drawing from the holster. There's no rapid fire. So you can't do any type of practical drills. It's just lane shooting. So there's no shooting from cover. There's no, I didn't get in trouble, but I was told to stop doing that when I like to, randomly load magazines, like with random rounds, random loads in it, so that I can practice cycling, reload, cycle, that type of shit. They don't really like that there. So I really need more of a private. Now, I was looking up ranges that have USPSA matches at them, and there's one down in Albion, which isn't too far away, that by all accounts, places that have USPSA matches typically will allow you to do more actual mobility drills, cover drills, draw drills, that type of stuff. Actual practical applications. And that's not to take away from FUDs. Everybody's going to be a little fuddy from time to time. And if that's your thing, that's your thing, dude. I just, like to have competency with my EDC. I like to have competency with whatever I pick up. I like to have a certain level of trust in myself. And the only way to do that is to continually flex and exercise that muscle. Does that make sense, guys? Well, Mr. Detroit City, if I like, comment, subscribe, share this around, and I can move to Central Florida, dude. Derek, I am never fucking moving to Cali, bro. There is no fucking way, dude. Get them each separately. You'll be happier and easier matching them up. Beantown, are you talking the dagger or are you talking the combo deal? You talking buying the AR and the pistol separately? Can't purchase like 30% of these firearms. Are you serious? Derek, you got to get out of there, dude. You got to get out of there, bro. You got to get out. You got to get out. When cash has no value, what's going to keep you alive? Farming, hunting, and protection. You got her, Rick. They love guns. Yeah, I'm sure they do. Limiting property tax within 2 years also. Dude, yeah, Florida's the way to be, dude. Getting out of the city is the best thing I did. Same, dude. I grew up on 10 acres, dude. If you want to build your own range, check out your local law enforcement department where you buy. They'll help you make sure you comply with everything. Hell yeah. Well, and Beantown, that was the other thing I was wondering is the county sheriffs. I know where their range is at. And I was actually wondering if I could talk to the county sheriff and seeing if there was if I could I don't know, fucking pay a monthly fee if I could go and shoot at their range. I'm sure that you can't. But it would be fucking sweet. Love when all my neighbors walk on four legs. Hell yeah, Rick. Dude, exactly. Look up U-Haul rentals to see where people have been moving. I bet you Ocala pops up every... Yeah, dude. Well, not only that, Mr. Detroit City, but if you look it up, Florida or Michigan is the number one employer of U-Haul trucks, dude. Everyone leaving California. Yeah, dude, they should. Only have 20-hour drivers, so $2,000 for the move, depending on how much you have. Well, you also need a job. We have FDLE ranges here that are public you can go to. Hell yeah. Dude, do they let you shoot at night, too? Bro, those ranges that you shoot at night are fucking sick. Most of those ranges are law enforcement only, unfortunately. That's what I thought, Beantown. I was pretty sure that was the case, dude. But I was like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? But you know what, guys? We'll probably talk more about this stuff tomorrow. Because at this point, look, I am really trying to not let the brand name, social... I really don't like the elitist mentality of having to own brand name firearms. I think that's a little bit of setting too high of an entry point for people to get into. We should be encouraging people to buy firearms and practice with them. We shouldn't be encouraging people to buy fucking high points. But by all accounts, there is absolutely nothing wrong with a PSA. Right? There is nothing wrong with Palmetto State. They manufacture. Sometimes they have some QA issues. That's going to happen when you're buying a mid-tier force multiplying device that, by all accounts, punches outside of its class weight. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with PSA, dude. And I think I'm just going to start becoming one of those advocating for people to be budget-friendly shooters. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to buy all the high-end stuff. I shoot fucking Blazer ammo at the range, dude. You know what I'm saying? Come on now, guys. Come on. You can't even think about moving to a town. Hell yeah, Mom. Fuck no, dude. Moving in town sucks, dude. We have some sick indoor ranges all over the state, too. Yeah, I bet, dude. I bet with the heat, yeah, dude. Here in MA, it's 500 feet in any direction of any major residential or commercial building. Dude, did you see what they did in Virginia? Virginia, you can't fire a firearm on any property less than 5 acres. Did you see that? They just passed all these commie-ass laws in Virginia, dude. It's disgusting. I love my MP5s as a concealed carry weapon. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, dude. We should encourage buying guns manufactured in the USA. Exactly, Mom, and that's the thing. That's the thing. PSA, dude. Right here, dude. Right here, bro. You know what I'm saying? American made. Nothing wrong with them, dude. Nothing wrong with them. I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. We're not quite there yet. Got to wait for that 24 hours of overtime to come through on the next paycheck. All right, guys. They pay citizens to hunt down here. Dude, I'd love to be a fucking pay. Honestly, I always thought it'd be really cool to get a job as a helicopter-mounted boar control specialist, like wild boar control specialist. Dude, I think that'd be super awesome to shoot fucking boars off of a helicopter, bro. I'd love to be to do that. I would love to do that for a career, dude. My favorite gun is on a Canik TP9 Elite. No shit. Eats every... Correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't the Canik have an issue where the magazines like explode and dump out of the bottom of the handgun though regularly? Was it Canik that I was seeing that on, or was that CZ that I'm seeing that on? Because if I'm being honest, I get it, dude. People like the Caniks, people like the Walthers, people like the CZs. I think they're ugly as fuck. I like my blocky Lego guns. You know what I'm saying? Black Creek Conservative Club Central in Michigan. Thank you, gun guy. All right, what was I looking up? What was I looking up? The hell was I looking up? USPSA ranges, Michigan. Hang on, I wrote it down. 1 second. Practice score. That's what it is. Boom. So this... nope, that ain't it. Wait, that was it. Shit. So you can go to this thing called practicescore.com. All right? And you can search by state. Like... All right, let's check out Florida. A bunch of you guys are down in Florida. So check out all these. These are all ranges, dude, that they have in Florida. And then we'll specialize it that USPSA match type should allow you to be able to run like actual practical drills. So then you can see here all the fucking ranges. All the fucking ranges around, just in like Florida. Hassan Wednesday Steel. Please be there before 5:45 p.m. Same. Oh, it's all Hassan Wednesday Steel. All right. What's up here? What's up here? Here we go. We'll go by Ocala. Right there. Wilson Practical Shooters 2026 March. They got a fucking match right there, dude. So these ranges, you can look it up. And typically from what I understand is that if you find ranges that do USPSA matches, typically they'll have the type of setup and will allow you to do like drills and shit. So yeah, cool stuff. Moves to Florida, becomes an ICE agent. I fucking wish, dude. You need a college degree to become an ICE agent. Hey, Mr. Figs, have a good day, brother. Stay out of trouble, man. You go get that paycheck, dude. Grind it out, dude. What do you do with the sharp stick? I can only shoot my 388 Lupa Mag at 2 ranges in my state. It's a fucking can. I'm sure that is, dude. I'm sure that is. Oh, camera fucked up. Camera fucked up. Camera. Focus. Focus. Yo, well, that's fucked. There we go. All right. Well, that's going to be it for today, guys. Appreciate each and every one of you hanging out. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. talking more football. Trying to convince you guys that Drew Petzing is not the worst thing that's ever happened to us. We will be fine. Stay out of trouble. I've been Hat and Beard. You've been an attentive audience. Until next time, bonga bonga. Frig off.